Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So this is a very different kind of battle than the ones I usually do. Basically, my son and I just wanted to have fun last Friday night, throwing some models on the table and throwing some dice around. So he'd been playing with the idea of coming up with some castle siege rules, completely by us, not of the ones that the Games Workshop used to have. So he came up with a few. We tried to keep them very few and very simple, and we thought we would just give it a go, learn from our mistakes, and tweak them later on. So I'll go ahead and show you the results of what we did and open it up if anybody has feedback for how we could improve the castle siege rules. And I'll cover them in just a moment. So basically this is what I brought. There are two trebuchets, one in the lower left, one in the lower right. Um, I've got in the far left a huge unit of Knights of the Realm. There's 15 of them there, and they have the Twilight Banner, which means that once per game they become ethereal. Now they can't do that during their charge, but during the additional movement phase they're ethereal. So I thought that'd be great for a castle siege. I could literally walk them right through the walls as long as I can do so in a way that he can't charge me when I get on the other side of him. So we're playing a closed list, so my son was wondering what the heck I was doing, and I wasn't saying anything, so hoping to spring that trap on him later. I got two units of 20 bowmen. Um, let's see, if you're on the wall, you get +2 cover, so the bowmen were not wonderful. I've got two big blocks of men-at-arms. The one on the road has a, um, a battering ram, which is just the pony model from the Skull Pass set. And basically, it gets to attack the door when they get it up there. It does auto hit D6 wounds, and the door I think has 6 wounds. So uh, that's besides the two trebuchets. That's how I plan on getting in the door. I've got a unit of Knights of the Realm with my BSB with a 2-up rerollable armor save, a level 4 caster with Heavens, and she's got the Crown of Command as well as the Scepter of Stability. I think it allows her to reroll a miscast result once per game. Now with the men-at-arms on the road, I also have a level 2 with Lore of Beasts, and she did get the spell that can turn herself into a dragon, and I was really excited to get that, hoping I can use it. Anyway, there's another block of men-at-arms, some Knights Errant with the Errantry Banner, and then some Peg Knights. And this is what he has. So along the wall on the very top, he's got a cannon with an engineer. He's got a bolt thrower with an engineer, an organ gun, and then it looks like an upside-down bolt thrower, but that's actually a grudge thrower with an engineer. He's got two blocks of 40 warriors with great weapons. The bottom of those blocks has a lord, and he's just kitted out to be killy. And in the middle, he's got a unit of hammers with the BSB. So basically, well, I'll go over the rules later, but we have 3,000 points, but he had to spend points on the type of walls that he had, and, well, anyway, the type of walls he had. And that determined the toughness of the walls and how many wounds each section has. So he looks something like that. I like how the doors look like we've already banged them open a little bit. Another view of it. And the rules. So first of all, we said no preset number of turns, because if it takes me a while to get to the walls and to beat through them, I don't want to lose the game just because it's been 6 turns. Equal army points. He had to pay for walls and siege equipment. He had a set of walls that basically cost him 1,000 points of his army, but they have toughness 7, 6 wounds per section, and men at arms can't hurt him. Knights can't hurt him. It has to be my trebuchets or that battering ram. 6 wounds per section. So there's the door, and then the wall sections are about 12 inches long, I think. So Dwarfs turn 1. He doesn't move. Most of his shooting is ineffective. He does kill 3 knights out of my BSB's unit. Sorry for the blurry picture. So Bretonnian turn 1. What are you going to do? I moved up as much as I could. I'm looking to take my Peg Knights and take out the cannon, and then just roll down and take out his bolt thrower and then his organ gun, and just kind of take out his war machines one turn at a time. I got the comet off, and I put it right there behind his lines. So I was when I looked at this game and the rules, I'm thinking I don't have a chance against this. It's 3,000 points of my stuff against 2,000 points of his stuff, but he's hard to get to, and he's going to be able to bottleneck me. But when the comet went off, I was thinking, that could make a difference here. So Dwarf turn 2, he brought his miners on. I forgot about that. He always brings miners. I forgot that he brought miners. I didn't add up his points. And he brings it to the side of the table next to my huge block of knights. He doesn't know what I'm doing, but he knows I have something up my sleeve. And I was like, oh crap, that's just that's just great. Otherwise, he's kind of dancing around behind those walls, getting away from that comet. He starts shooting at me, so he kills a few men at arms. His bolt throwers are ineffective because I make wonderful ward saves. And we go to Brett turn 2. So basically, again, I just move up as much as I can. There's no point getting my troops any closer. I'm using my trebuchets on the walls, and I'm just missing them. They keep on scattering off. Trying to get the men at arms with that battering ram up to the door. On the left, what I decided to do with those knights is just go ahead and march up as far as possible. On my next turn, I can turn ethereal, get through those walls, and be behind his troops. But the problem is his miners might be able to charge me. And I don't remember what the roll was. My guess is he has 3-inch movement. He would have to roll probably a 7. And so 50-50 odds are a little bit better in his favor of getting to me. And if he does, I'm toast. So I just take my trebuchets. Instead of aiming at the walls, I just turn them on those miners. So the bowmen shoot at it. I don't think they do anything. During the magic phase, that spellcaster tries to hurt him with whatever spell in the lore of beasts is direct damage, and it doesn't do any good. And then, let's see, on this turn my Peg Knights did charge his cannon. There we go. Then during the shooting phase, my one of my trebs hits it and just demolishes the unit. Now if they hit me, they're not nearly as worrisome as they were before. But then he takes a panic test and rolls an 11. I just feel bad about that. I almost wish he just wouldn't have taken the test. Yeah, what I was kind of hoping would happen is that wouldn't happen. He would fail his charge, and then I'd get through the walls, and he would be stuck on the outside of the walls with nothing to do. Like, hey, where'd the guys go? But it's a moot point. They rolled an 11 and ran off the board. I do absolutely nothing. That's a weird formation for my Peg Knights. They're not really in that formation. My son did that being goofy, but I really don't have any place to put them anyway. I'm not going to balance them up on that wall. So anyway, they're just locked in combat there. Dwarf turn 3, he moves. As you can see, the comet went off, killed just a couple guys, nothing much, so he moves back up a little bit. He starts killing my stuff, so the grudge thrower is going to work on the men at arms. You can see I've lost a total of 4 knights errant. Combat here is still a push. I can't hurt the guy. I mean, I think I can only fight with 3 of my Peg Knights, and you can see he's missing some models, but I just can't seem to do the wounds I need to do, and he's stubborn 9. But during my third turn, it was awesome, bringing my knights right through the walls, and you could just tell he was looking at me like, oh no, which isn't that big of a deal. In order for this to work, I needed to have come through the front door so that his options were limited. On my next turn, during the fighting phase, my men-at-arms will try to batter down the door, and I think I've only done 1 wound to it so far, so I really need to do well. In hindsight, I probably should have just waited another turn before pulling these guys in, because as it is now, they're in there all alone. So during the shooting phase, he kills another knight errant. He kills a whole bunch of these men-at-arms. This second bunch of men-at-arms is so weak now that there's little they can do. On the third round of combat, we finally kill the cannon and reform to go down his line of war machines. And it looks like there's another comet. There's a blue die there. I don't know if that's a comet or a wound marker. Just don't remember. So on his turn, he basically moves his top unit of warriors up so that I can't see them. It's hard to tell from this angle, but basically he got out of my 45-degree arc. And again, from this angle, it doesn't look like it, but he was. And then he turned his 2 other blocks around. So my options were I could take a leadership test and try to march and get out of his ability to charge me. But if I fail the test, he's going to charge me and I'm done. Or I could just charge the hammers, and then I could take my Peg Knights into the flank of the Great Weapon Warriors here on the right-hand side, just hoping to hold them up. So then my men-at-arms can come in the door and come in the back of those warriors. So kind of a risky gamble, but that was kind of what my options came down to once I brought my knights of the realm behind his lines without any support. So by the way, that unit of men-at-arms on the right isn't there. They were casualties, and I just hadn't moved them yet. For the most part, this is what he's looking at. Um, yeah, during his shooting phase, this is my BSB's unit. He's got the unit down weak enough now that I only have 3 rank and file left, and then I have a champion, a BSB, and a prophetess. So this is actually getting scary. I didn't really plan on him having war machines shooting at me so long. Otherwise, we were here. And here we go. So during the last combat phase, I forgot, we didn't do the battering ram every combat phase. Instead, we just did it during my turns, and that was a mistake. So anyway, the men-at-arms are nowhere near to support. So I go ahead and charge the hammers, and my peg knights failed their charge. They needed, it didn't look like they needed much, but when we measured it, they actually needed like a 10, which made that a much riskier gamble than I thought. They failed it. They're sitting right in front of those other guys. Just an epic, epic fail. And right there, I think, the game's going to be a very uphill battle for me from here on out. So I like the thought of this. I love the fluff of it, but it's it's not going to go well. Yeah, so after all this time at the wall, I've only done 2 wounds to the door with that battering ram, and there's 1 wound marker on the wall up top for that other wall section. So my trebs are missing, and when they do hit, they're only rolling 1 wound. This battering ram does an auto hit D6 wounds, and twice now. I should have done it 3 times. I've only done it twice, and both times I rolled a 1. So, yeah, that's tough. I kill 4 hammers. He kills 3 of my knights. We stick around, and then he gets the counter charge, and, well, that's somewhat predictable. His other warriors charged my peg knights. I fled over the wall, and didn't fail my panic test of the knights errant, thank goodness. So he keeps on shooting at me. My units are getting so weak now that there's not a whole lot they can do. He totally wipes out my huge unit of knights down to a champion. This was a fun game. It really was. Hopeless on the Bretonnians, but we're not going to give up. So we're still trying to get in the door. Not sure why at this point. Yeah, the organ gun's gone. The only thing I can assume happened is that he on his phase blew itself up. That's the only thing I can imagine happening there. My bowmen have been doing relatively little all game because it's so hard to hit and wound this war machine, but they have taken a couple wounds off the bolt thrower, or the grudge thrower. And otherwise it looks like this. Now at the top it looks like my peg knights are still fleeing. They rallied, I just didn't bother moving them around. But we did break through the door finally, so those men-at-arms represent my big block of men-at-arms, who do have the ward save, by the way, from the caster that's with them. So the same ward save as our knights, so they're kind of just standing in the doorway. And he was going to charge me and decided not to. His thought was make me charge him, and then that way he can countercharge again, which I thought was very smart. My men-at-arms are just getting obliterated. That's the unit without the ward save. So my turn, I charge the men-at-arms in. I bring my BSB up to give him a reroll and to open up some future charges. I take my peg knights, fly them over the wall just to give me some options later. There we go. It's pretty. It's not going to go well. But I will be steadfast. I've got leadership. I've got a reroll, definitely. Maybe even leadership. Let's see. Leadership 8 from my prophetess. And the ward save. So I might be okay holding them up for a while. Otherwise, everything looks like that. I think I was showing that he lost some warriors from my trebuchets. I've got my men-at-arms, my knights errant. They're totally worthless now, so weak. Yeah, I can't get that wall wounded. And after combat, he beats me. I stick around. We go to Dwarf's turn. He gets the counter charge, which is going to hurt. But even then, I'm going to be steadfast with the reroll leadership 8, so the men-at-arms did their job at least. Keeps on shooting my poor knights errant. I can't believe they haven't failed a panic test yet. Those men-at-arms, same thing. They're not failing their panic test, but they went from 50 down to 5. That grudge thrower is brutal. Yeah, and so at the end of the day, here we are. So my men-at-arms did their job. I don't think they'll be steadfast anymore. So on my turn, I'd say, what the heck? We charge my diminished Knight of the Realm unit with the BSB into the flank of the hammers. My peg knights into the rear, and drop some rocks. They are using indirect fire, but that's fine. Drop some rocks on those uh, warriors. And after combat, it looks like that. So I won it this time, but he stuck. We go to his turn, and when the fighting's done, the hammers are all completely wiped out. Uh, but obviously, he's still. Tell you what, a horde of great weaponed warriors is a very formidable unit. So on my next turn, what the heck? We're rolling dice. We're committed now. So we just charge right in. The wall finally comes down after we are the 8th turn. A wall finally comes down, and my units are so now. Granted, the wall came down um, after I could declare charges, so it's kind of pointless to me. That comedy wipes out the men at arms. My peg knights are still around, but he's going to win that, especially when we go to his turn and he flank charges with the other unit. And I think we rolled those dice and they just obliterated me. So anyway, that was the game. I mean, it was just real lighthearted. If we were gonna, if I was gonna give up at any point, I would have done it very very early in the game. I don't think those rules gave the attacker enough of a chance. But it was fun. It was kind of fluffy seeing the Bretonnians doing some crazy things, trying to do the impossible there. Although maybe not impossible. Anyway, that was it. Hope you enjoyed it.